You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Lohman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Lohman.
Welcome, everyone. I'm sitting here live in person with Ashley.
Woohoo!
We're sitting here together. We never do that.
Yeah.
Doug is still remote.
Of course.
Until we get the fancy studio and the weekly airline tickets. Mm-hmm. This is how it's going to be. This is the best we can do.
Yeah.
I don't want you two anywhere near me anyway, so.
Well, we certainly wouldn't be flying to where you live. You'd have to fly to California.
No thanks.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw my post today, but I'm here for a week, and I went to the grocery store, and Californians will appreciate this. I'm checking out. I got a bunch of groceries for the week, and the woman didn't ask me, would you like bags? And to you guys who don't live in California, that was just a relief. Not to have to be like, yes, I want bags, and I want as many as I need. Thank you very much. I got a conveyor belt full of groceries. No, I'll just carry them out by hand.
Like you're at Costco? They do that?
At Costco? I don't know. Oh, yeah, Costco even. I mean, bags they cost money, so they have to ask you. They're 10 cents a piece.
Oh, no, Costco doesn't have bags.
They don't have bags?
No, they just put everything in
what do I
boxes.
know? I don't go to Costco. But so everywhere you go, they have to ask you if you want a bag because they have to charge you. So not only did they not ask me, do you want a bag, they double bagged everything.
It's fantastic.
I got double bags, no questions.
Wow, you're living like a future utopia of some kind.
The sad thing is how great that was. Normally you don't notice that. And I remember when it switched, it was right after I moved to Napa. And it's a county thing or a city thing. Right after I moved to Napa implemented this 10-cent bag thing. And not only did they have to start asking you, they literally stopped stocking bags. So my first trip to Target, they had no bags.
You're like, what the
They
fuck?
had no bags. They didn't know how to implement this new law, so they just didn't offer bags. So
Well,
I had to load everything
you-
in my cart and drive it out to the car and throw it into the car.
Oh, that's
no
so
bag.
Oh my
Because all
god.
those idiots in freaking California already have their little, reusable grocery bags.
I would never remember to bring them.
They have no idea what a religious cult they're in out there.
Yeah.
It does no
God,
good
it is.
to not have a goddamn paper bag for your groceries.
Right.
So I put them in the trunk. I lined up my 3 double-bagged grocery bags in the trunk. I took a photo and I put it on Facebook today. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at an environmental catastrophe.
The consequences of what you did today are just unthinkable.
Right?
What's going on in the Earth's ecosystem as we speak, as a result of those bags,
Right.
is I shudder to even think.
I've destroyed my
happening.
daughter's future.
Yeah.
Never mind that we're spending $20 trillion a year in this country, and or not a year, but we owe $20 trillion in debt, not to mention the unfunded liabilities. But no, let's worry
Right.
about some fucking paper bags for
The bags.
these religious people.
That's what's going to get us.
Right. And so, yeah, that's what's nice about being here in Minnesota. Definitely not the snow, but definitely the bags.
The double bags.
So
Well, if you think Minnesota's unregulated,
I know,
that's saying
right?
something about California, because Minnesota's like a mini fascist republic or something.
Totally.
It's horrible.
It's as
The
socialist.
people there are little Nazis.
They are busybodies, do-gooders, extraordinaires. I mean, it's the Northern European Swedish thing. It's why Swedish is the rape capital of the world.
Right.
They let in we'll take care of the rapists. Let's judge them as individuals. Oh no, wait,
I
that's
think it's-
objectivists. Sorry, I'm an
I-
objectivist, so I say that with love. But okay.
No, you don't. But I always think of Minnesota as being kind of a combination of Mothers Against Drunk Driving plus Pat Robertson plus Paul Wellstone, Al Franken socialism.
People don't
It's
know
like the
who
worst.
Paul Wellstone is unless you're like
Oh,
30
sorry.
years old. But
Well, okay. How about Well, no, Hubert H. Humphrey. Isn't he from there?
He's also an old guy, Doug.
Wait, isn't the airport?
What about Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
What about Lincoln?
Back in my day, no. But
how about President Polk? Remember Polk?
Well, it's like this combination of like awful, like lefty, liberal, social justice warrior plus social conservatism.
Yeah, it's weird. There is a social conservative bent here. There's even a like personal responsibility bent here that's actually kind of nice. I mean, there's a strong work ethic. People are nice to each other. There's benevolence. There's but there's a shaming. Like if you don't do your part and you're not doing right by the community, there's a kind of shaming that goes on, which is kind of healthy.
It's very Lutheran. Is that
very
Lutheran?
Oh yeah, good works. A moral life is like a hardworking life where you do good things and you work hard. That's definitely.
But you're also in everybody else's business.
Oh yeah.
It's not work hard and leave everyone alone. It's work hard and get in everyone else's face about how they're not working hard enough, but in a passive aggressive way.
In a passive aggressive way, and with a little Scarlet Letter mixed in. Is that too old of a reference for the kiddos who don't get literature anymore?
No.
Okay.
You're not allowed to read anymore.
Right. So, I took my kid into Target, and she picks up this. What's the new superhero movie? The black one. Black Panther. She picks up this Black Panther doll, and I haven't seen the movie. I haven't read the comic. She picks up this Black Panther stuffy, and she says, "Mom, why is his butt big?" I have a 3-year-old, and I look at this stuffy. It's a stuffed animal Black Panther, and they put on the bubble butt.
Really?
They gave this. I don't know if the actor has a bubble butt or if this is just. If the comic book character has a bubble butt, but they gave the stuffed animal, the stuffy, a bubble butt.
Huh.
Which is very stereotypical. So, like, I don't know what to do. I'm in the store. She's just said this really loud.
Well, yeah, but if you change the form of it, then it would actually be.
Doug, hello. Do we need to talk to that person?
Yeah. Why don't we bring him in? If you change the body form, then isn't that being, what's the word? Some sort of bad word against people. You're like
prejudice.
Saying that, prejudice. You're saying their natural form isn't good. You got to change it to this idyllic form.
Right. If you don't have but not all black people have a bubble butt, and some white people have it. But okay, let's say it's more common for black people to have that kind of bubble butt. But what I'm wondering is, did the actor have that? Does the comic book have that? Like, where are they getting that? Is it from somewhere, or did they say, it's a black superhero, let's give it a bubble butt? Somebody made that decision. And then like the next day, we're here at my mom's house, and she has this picture of some watercolor painting of a couple old ladies from behind, and Lucia says, "Look, Mom, they have big butts." I'm like, well, at least she's not racist.
Yeah.
She's an equal opportunity big butt shamer.
Yeah, she recognizes big butts on everybody.
She's just into big butts right now, I guess. She likes big butts, and she cannot lie. Because she's 3, she's just pointing out the obvious.
Striking.
God. So I don't know, is that racist or not? I don't know if this doll is racist.
I actually think big butts are disorienting because they're very...
What?
Well,
do you get hypnotized by big butts there, Doug?
No, I don't. Well, I just say they're challenging because you want to look at people's butts. Everyone looks at people's butts. It's just kind of a natural. Well, maybe it's unnatural. I mean, maybe it's not natural. I don't know, but I think it's natural to look at people's butts. This could be a holdover
from our monkey days when we wanted to smell them.
Well, have you ever heard of the? I saw a show on orangutans where they're in heat. They call it an engorged rump.
I don't want to talk about engorged rumps.
Are you sure? Because I have 10 minutes on this.
You have a 10-minute stand-up special.
So
on monkey rumps.
So it makes you wonder if it's is it physical? Are they in heat? Are they out of shape? There's all sorts of questions that That's why I just find it sorry.
It does say a lot about a person, I guess. And in this case, in Black Panther's case, we're talking about, an athletic tight butt like that you see on a lot of black people. Mm-hmm. Is it bad to point out that, like, the crazy thing about today is you're not allowed to point out reality, but then they'll put reality in your face by making the doll this kind of hyper version of something. But then you can't say black people have this, or, some black people more often than white people have this kind of anatomy.
Right.
But we can't discuss that, but we're going to put it on a doll so that your 3-year-old white girl in the Target is like, Mom, why does this doll have a big butt? And she notices it's different than the other dolls.
You should really loudly say, because, honey, black people have big butts.
Do you know that that's exactly what I said?
Because
I don't lie to my daughter.
That would probably get you arrested. In Britain, you'd probably be arrested.
That's right. That's against the law in Britain. That would be racism. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know you never know what to do these days. You don't know what's appropriate. So you just tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Tell the truth to my 3-year-old daughter. All right. Social media, I want to talk about quickly. We talked about that last week a lot. So I'm just going to briefly say, it seems like, I don't know what you're seeing, Doug, what the rest of you out there, listeners, are seeing. Comment, let us know what you're going to do. Because everybody's talking about leaving Facebook. Right? You're seeing this, Doug?
They're talking about it on Facebook.
They're talking about it on Facebook. Yes.
They're joining Facebook to
They're talking about it on Facebook, but everyone's talking about it. A lot of people have opened MeWe, I don't know how to pronounce it, MeWe accounts. MEWE accounts. And I'm getting invitations in my email to join, is it MeWe?
I don't know.
MeWe?
I've never heard of it.
Either have I.
I've noticed people like Sargon of Akkad or whatever, he's on Minds.com. Minds.com looks a lot like Facebook. I like the idea of it has to be something that allows you to have these kind of long-form idea sharing topics. And Minds looks like it does that. MeWe looks like it does that. But these are unfiltered. These are like totally uncensored sites. So it's a little weird because you go over, I was checking out Gab. And Gab, it's like, oh my God, is there a lot of racist stuff on there? Most of it tongue-in-cheek. Like, I think people are being racist now to put their foot down about not being allowed to say anything ever and about being called racists. So now you have people saying, okay, screw you, I'm gonna be racist in your face and dare you to do something about it,
It's like drawing Muhammad, kind of a
It is
protest.
drawing Muhammad.
So I'm on this MeWe thing now. It's called the Next Gen Social Network.
Yeah.
So I'm going to join this.
So
no ads, no tracking, no BS.
So the way they earn their money is they give you this basic set of ability to use the site, and then if you want like more room to store pictures and things, you have to buy the premium, and so it's really a membership site.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's like Dropbox,
Yeah.
You keep going up in size. The more you use it, the more you have to pay for it. Makes sense.
When the internet first came out, like, no one would pay for anything, so everything became ad-based.
Right.
Because no one wants to. And I've totally switched now. I'm happy to pay someone $5 for their damn thing.
Yeah, I am too.
If I can avoid all the ads.
Should we start charging for the podcast? We don't have ads.
Right?
Well, I personally am going to go behind a paywall. When you guys talk to me, you have to pay. I don't care what the listeners do, but Sonny and Ashley, you're going to have to start paying for my takes.
To call you every week.
Premium takes.
Premium Doug. You've given it away for free now. See, I mean, I don't mind paying either, but I am getting a little bit annoyed, and I've said this before on other podcasts, that I have to buy so many subscriptions now just to kind of follow the basic people I want to follow. Yeah. That I'm either not paying it and I'm missing out on people I really like. Like Gavin McInnes. Take Gavin McInnes. I used to watch him on The Rebel. And I don't have a subscription to him, and I love him. Like, I really would watch him regularly. I think he's hilarious. But I don't want to. I don't want another damn subscription.
Yeah.
And it's not just these personalities. It's newspapers. You get your 3 articles for free every month on WSJ, and then you got to buy a membership. So
aren't there some aggregation services out there?
There has to be, because
I know Scribd or whatever that is, Scribd.com. You can get a lot of magazines and content and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be another consolidation of these types of subscriptions.
I think Apple does a lot of them, actually.
Apple?
You can buy a lot of them in-app purchases for subscriptions and stuff.
Well, is there like one? We need like a news aggregator. Yeah. But I'm going to look into Mayway. I'm going to look into Minds. I'm going to look into Gab. Gab is like a Twitter. Minds is like a Facebook. I think Mayway is like a Facebook. But I've noticed a lot of, like, a really big uptick in talking about it. I think mainly because of the data. I wouldn't call it a breach, but it's not like when you do those dumb tests. You know, I also want to know what Muppet I am, but I don't. When I say, yes, you can have access to my photos, my friends, my, everything, I don't go, oh my God, well, how did somebody get all that shit? Yeah. And there are some tests where I click on that and I really want to know. Like, one came out last month where they took
I call that extra clickbaity.
Oh my God, there was one a month ago where if you clicked on it and you gave it a picture and it basically turned you into a supermodel. It took your photo and it put makeup on you, it slimmed down your face, it gave you a nose job. I mean, it actually was somebody wrote a really good program because people looked great.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to do that. And then when I clicked on it, and by the way, this is why they're smart. They write a really good program. Yep. If it was shit, nobody would click on it, but they actually give you something you want. Why do I want that? I don't know, okay? But I clicked on it and it said, okay, you agree to basically give us access to everything. And that's where I stopped. I mean, I will give you my email and my, basic profile information.
And your address.
But they don't get my, friends list and they don't get my photos. I mean, forget that. That's dumb. I'm not going to do that.
I remember when you could kind of trick the system. You could not agree or like click out of the boxes and you could still get to them. I miss those days. Yeah.
I don't remember those days. I was still on MySpace.
Oh.
Just kidding. Is MySpace still around?
I think totally. It is. I like the idea, though, that you went to a supermodel site and it just changes your picture. And somehow people think, "Woo, I look good." Like they're literally changing your whole face.
Yeah, but it's not you.
It's not
Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's just basically they're just photoshopping a supermodel's face onto your body.
That's exactly what they're doing. Oh. But it kind of looks like you. So it's you, only the best you.
Only better.
Yeah. That's what we all want out of our social media. That is social media right there.
I can Photoshop a makeover picture for you.
Okay, I'm sending you a picture of me. Okay. So I will look into this because, my social media use is basically, I have a Twitter account. I don't use it. I've never been able to deal with Twitter. I Facebook. I have an Instagram account. I'm on there occasionally. I don't really use it very much. And then I YouTube. So it's YouTube and Facebook mostly. But obviously something's got to change. I mean, the data breaches happened. Zuckerberg and all of those, Facebook is clearly a leftist organization. So mostly it's like, why are we still supporting them? The fact that now the news is so filtered that it's ridiculous. Stuff that is trending is not trending.
Right.
Don't call it trending if it's your selected, aggregated news list for, that you're spoon feeding me. Trending is the wrong word. Mm-hmm. Those aren't trending news stories. That's what Zuckerberg wants you to read right there. And they've hired, Google has hired the Southern Poverty Law Center to review YouTube videos and decide what should be taken down.
Yeah, that immediately disqualifies them from judgments of any kind.
Right? I mean, Ayaan Hirsi Ali is hate speech, and so her Prager University is down. Video is down. I mean, she's on their list of blacklist for horrible people, horrible, evil people, and she's like, all she wants to do is stop girls from having their vaginas cut and sewn together. Right. And that's her cause is Islam reformation and women's rights.
Can't do that.
So she's a hate group.
She's a Nazi.
And they took down her videos, and that's what YouTube's using to decide what content is appropriate. And Facebook is doing the same thing basically with their trending news. And now they've got this new thing where they're actually filtering your news. So if you share a story from, say, Breitbart, your grandma's not going to see that. You know, even though she only has 4 friends and you're one of them. Because Facebook doesn't want her to see it. And all the conservative sites have shown there's an average drop in viewership of conservative sites. It's down 14%. And lefty sites are up like 27%. I mean, it's like a clear effect that they're having on the market. And this is an election year. And you know that's what they're trying to do. So with all that, I think people are looking to leave. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know what people are going to do yet. Obviously, we have to go where people go. It's frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating. Yeah, I feel like if Steve Jobs was still around, he would have figured something out by now. Mm-hmm. And he would have made it cool.
Yeah.
Because he was apolitical. And he'd be like, this is stupid, what they're doing. Yeah. He'd fix it.
Well, yeah. When these companies got so sort of big for their britches that they started giving the finger to half their client base in this push to drive their own political agenda, that is a huge statement, and I think it's a massive turning point. When you're making so much money, essentially, you literally don't care anymore about your business model and about your revenue streams and how you're treating your customer base. You only care about driving some sort of like, you know, left-wing, hardcore political agenda. You know, the market is not going to the market's not going to allow that.
It's not going to allow it. The question is, I mean,
it takes time for alternatives to develop.
It does.
They're developing.
We just have to be patient. Something will give. We're going to all end up on MySpace again.
We've come full circle.
The 1980s called.
No, we'll be on AOL.
We'll be on AOL. Oh, I'm ready. Somebody said to me they're not giving up their AOL email account because it's the only one that isn't like compromised and ad-based. And I have this friend who's she's actually she's in kind of she spearheads the fight against the Muslim Brotherhood. Uh-huh. And she's saying she kept her AOL account because it's the only one she can trust. Isn't that funny? It is amazing.
Those were the days.
It's the only one that can't be hacked, and that they're not selling her data, and you know.
Yeah.
So.
I think we got to go backwards a little bit. Everyone's had this experience where you go into an article and I can't find the text of the article. There's so many ads and there's so many things popping up at me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like hijacking the site and like bringing me somewhere else that I just give up. I just shut the thing off.
Yeah, I know. It's getting to that point where I think we're reaching peak internet, peak social media, where people are sick of it. Mm-hmm. People are shutting down. They're deleting their accounts. You see more people taking breaks. I'm on a social media break. Goodbye, for a week or whatever. Why do people need to do that? I mean, they hate it. They hate social media.
Or they recognize that
it's bad for us. Yeah.
That they're on it too much, and they recognize that.
Yeah, I miss reading books. So.
What's a book?
Yeah, it's been a while.
But that's weird because everyone universally has the same narrative that, I hate social media. I don't like. But there's billions of people on it. Like, what is that? What is it about it that you're almost self-loathing by going on it? And I also made another.
That's how I feel when I eat that brownie. It's like it's the same sensation of like I just lost an hour to Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's that same guilt, like addiction kind of feeling almost.
There's definitely a psychology, a negative sort of psychology that attracts certain types of people, like myself included, to Facebook. It's kind of like it's the old.
This is turning into an AA meeting, so it's like.
Yeah, I have to confess some things here. Just bear with me for a second, but the old meme where the woman saying to her husband, hey, come to bed. And he's, at his computer and he says, hold on a second, honey, someone's wrong on the internet.
Yes.
That's an old joke or whatever.
Right.
But that's the truest.
It really is.
It's the truest, representation of that psychology where, you feel that some random person in the universe disagrees with you, and you feel compelled to try and argue with them or change their mind in some way when you're never, why do we, there's some compulsion and human compulsion towards that, and I think it affects a lot of people, and you get somewhat addicted to it. And I think some people are obviously really, really addicted to it. They're on this stuff constantly, but that there is a sense of I think when you fall prey to it, there's a sense of self-loathing in the same way that maybe when you fall prey, if you're on a diet and you blow up your diet for a brownie, you feel that same sense of self-loathing. I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm not pretending I do, but there's something.
Maybe
deep.
We need to get a psychologist on to discuss this because it is interesting. We should. I'll look into that.
There's a guy that wrote a book about the effect it's having on adolescents, and he's there's a lot of people that saying
I was just seeing
related
today.
To depression and
Ben
everything.
Shapiro had an art. This is the funniest thing. Ben Shapiro had an article out today talking about suicide rates among teens, boys and girls, are up like 70% in the last 10 years. And of course, I mean, it's so freaking ridiculous. He decided that it's because of religion. Like they don't have religion. I'm like, they have social media. Mm-hmm. That's what's happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They're on Facebook. Well, they're not on Facebook, but Snapchat, Instagram. It's this.
Right.
This is really bad for us.
Yeah,
And
I don't think we evolved
it's not church.
in a way to be like in these sort of infinite networks.
Yeah.
And to be constantly exposed to unreal depictions of other people's
well,
lives.
that's it too. And
fuel jealousy and fuel
Yeah.
sort of envy and rivalries. And
right.
It's not natural.
On the one hand, you get this fake picture of everybody that then you feel, I mean, I don't really fall prey to that too much. I don't feel like I have to live up to people. I mean, and most of my friends are pretty real, but I think it's worse for teens. I think it's, it's when you're a teenager, there's a lot of pressure to put forth. You're still figuring out who you are, so you don't have as much confidence in who you are. But the other side of it is, like you said, somebody says something, they're wrong on the internet, and you feel like, you're outraged, and you feel like you have to fix it. And it's, I don't even know this person. And like, if
Right.
this person walked up to me on the street and said something, I wouldn't have any feeling about it at all. If they said something to me in a coffee shop, or if they wrote something on a piece of paper and I read it, or if I met them at the Objectivist Summer Conference and I thought, meeting them in person, I didn't know them, and I thought they were like really weird, I would just be like, okay, you do you, man. Like it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. When you don't have that personal touch, when you're not looking at the person who said something idiotic, for some reason, I think the idiots get more credibility online.
But what about, imagine this scenario in person then. Imagine someone doesn't just come up to you privately and disagree with you or call you a jerk. But let's say you're in a very public place surrounded by other people that know you well. Mm-hmm. And then someone comes up to you and says, you're standing there with your friends and family and all these people that know you. And some guy comes up to you.
And screams at you.
And screams at you, you're an idiot, you're dumb.
Yeah.
This idea you just had or what you just said is really
talking.
stupid.
Now I have to respond. Yep, you're right.
I think that's partially what it is, because you feel like
it's
I
a
have
public
to respond.
forum.
Yeah, you have to
It's like your
save
dignity's
face.
on the line. Oh my God, you've really hit on it, Doug.
It's a group dynamic. It's the same.
I'm getting
and
off.
We all know when you're in a group meeting, and everyone can relate to this. When you're having lunch with one person, the social and psychological pressure you feel is night and day from when you're in a meeting with 10 people at in a business meeting. As soon as I think you get above 1 or 2 or 3 people and the group dynamic starts, where people start talking differently and they start not being really themselves anymore, and it turns into a meeting, and people are posturing and they're trying to save face, and you kind of got to watch what you say. You can't criticize someone in a certain way in case someone takes it the wrong way. And there's all these group dynamics. You could, people have written volumes about it, but it's definitely, there's all sorts of stuff like that going on. It's very dangerous, I think, in the hands of adolescents. Because like you said, we're confident. Well, maybe you're not. That's a bad assumption. But I think most older people, at least, can you're not like, oh my God, these people are on vacation all the time. I'm a loser. I'm going to go kill myself.
Right.
But if you're 13 or 16 and you see, well, wait a second, why is my friend who I thought was my friend, but now they're hanging out with this person? Could you imagine when we were kids being exposed to?
Yeah, that would suck.
All that
it would have been really hard.
Yeah.
It would have been
I
really,
don't
really hard.
know. It's because you all have all these the hormones and the testosterone and all these like the puberty stuff. I mean, that's just such a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and gossip is just rampant in teenage girl culture. I don't know about boy culture, but you say the wrong thing in the wrong way. I remember once I said something kind of stupid and not very nice, and I don't think I really meant it. And I was 13 at the time. I was a freshman in high school. And I just said something really snotty to somebody who then told everybody. And everybody hated me for like a year. You know?
Are you sure that was it?
Well, it might have not been. They might have been ready to hate me, but... No, I mean, mostly these were people who I didn't really know. So I was just bad-mouthing some people I didn't know. I was just saying something snotty about people. And then, of course, they hated me after that.
Yeah.
And that was through the, she said, he said, rumor mill thing. Like, imagine this stuff is on social media.
It was through the notes that you'd fold up. Remember those notes?
No, this was actually like oral history tradition.
Okay.
It was verbal.
But some of those notes also got passed. So
I mean, I can't imagine that times like 1,000, where everything you say and do is recorded and permanent. It's really hard. I think something's got to change. I'm confident that by the time I have to deal with this with my daughter, it's going to have changed already because it's so bad.
Yeah.
Kids are committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a epidemic of this going on. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I think there was someone had a joke meme that was funny that was setting up the whole, changing the gun age from 18 to 21. They were saying they should change the social media age to 18 or 21.
Yeah.
And it's actually
true.
better.
I actually think that'd be true.
It would have more of an effect.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely,
yeah,
right?
If we could run our own Scarlet Letter Society, we could say no social media till 21. Mm-hmm. A strict Lutheran busybody
Facebook
community.
used to be that way.
You had to be 21.
You had to have a college email address.
Oh.
Yeah.
An EDU email address.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That must have been really early days.
Oh, yeah. I remember I did, I was at...
What year were you on? What year did you get on Facebook?
Were you like friends with Zuckerberg in college, Ashley? Jesus.
She went to Harvard.
No. Yeah, right. I think it was 2005 because I did post-secondary and I got a email address that way and I was able
You were in high school, I was in post-secondary classes in college, and so you got an email and therefore you could go.
Yeah.
Okay, I got on 06 just to share pictures with people that I met at Objective Summer Conference. And I think that I've read less ever since. Like, I was smarter before that. So it's time to get back to that. But I'm looking for a new social media so I can now waste my time on a different platform. But no, I am gonna figure something out because I do think this is changing. I think it's changing rapidly now. I think we've peaked. I think that conservatives are going to go somewhere else, and people are going to have to follow if they want to sell us stuff. So that's happening.
Good.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting to see where these things are going to go.
Yeah, that's what's great about this.
So what of those platforms do you think will cater to that?
I don't know. I really don't. I haven't looked at any of them in depth. I think Gab is like Twitter. That doesn't really interest me. It's too short form and it's pretty Wild West over at Gab. It's like naked pictures, too many penises, too many racist comments. It's almost like icky. Like, I don't really want to be in that club.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, yeah, you guys head over there and check out the penises. You'll like it, Doug.
Speak for yourself. I personally can't get too many dick pics and racist jokes. So that's 90% of my life.
I don't mind. Once in a while, hey, I can tell a racist joke just like anybody else. But there's that, and then there's just kind of that being your group. And I do think that there's been there used to be this line that you didn't cross with these social media things where, you know, it didn't get too crude or gross or, you know, obscene. And while that isn't, you know, total unlimited free speech, it's like, well, I don't want to watch porn all day either. You know, it's...
You know what this is like? Did you guys know someone in college that was really sheltered in high school and, you know, their parents didn't let them watch TV or anything, and they get to college and they're just complete drunks. They're like out every night. It's like the first time they've been unleashed, and they're just completely overdose on, you know,
and they're lucky if they survive it.
Being a degenerate. Yeah, exactly. Or that, what's that Amish thing where they go out for a year?
What's that show?
Remember? They go out for a year and they can do anything they want for a year or something. Right. They just have no standards.
Yeah, it's like an MTV show.
Maybe that's what these new social media platforms are like. All
it's kind of like that. It's a rebellion, and I don't think that will work. I think that it has to have some boundaries so that decent people want to be there. And Gab is kind of not that, but Minds might be that. I don't know. And then if people would just calm down, Gab could be that. Like I think you're right. I think people have. Oh my God, we're free. Let's be racist naked.
Yeah. Look at my dick. I mean, come on, man. It's just that's the first thing you want to do when you're free, right?
Take my pants off.
You know, because I always thought that too. Like the guy that, like, you know, you've been sheltered, and like the first thing you want to do is just like show people your dick and like do coke or something. I mean.
If Gab could dispense drugs, it would be that. It would be like everybody would be high on coke.
I mean,
oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's what's going on.
I think it's going to specialize, though. I think you're going to have more and more specialization where conservatives will go to conservative aggregation things where you can get all your conservative guys, and the leftists will go to their leftist guys, and they'll just move away from these broader.
But this is a problem for me because, I mean, while things have gotten better, as somebody who likes comedy and arts and entertainment, there is no comedy, arts, and entertainment on the right. I mean, it's all, like, there's some political stuff, but the problem that's going on with comedy, entertainment, and arts is it's all politicized now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really, really hard to get any just straight good comedy and, like, have a good laugh. And but I work at it. But I can't do that if I'm not interacting with people who are on the left because they tend to share that stuff more. That's what they're into.
Right. Well,
and they're good at it. They're better at it. Their design is better.
But I don't think I mean, there'll be crossovers and stuff. I mean, there'll be humorous, specialized humor and stuff like that that'll lean one way or the other. But, I mean, I'm not saying there's going to be... Okay, all conservatives get herded into this camp, and
that's
all the leftists.
That's what I don't want to see. That's why I think, like, if only someone like Steve Jobs were doing something, because somebody has to come out, someone who's neutral has to come out and create a platform again that's not going to take a stand, that refuses to politicize and censor their platform. That's what has to happen. And so far I'm not seeing that, but I don't really know about Minds. I'm going to check it out. I'll check out Mayway and get back to everybody. So let's move on to the next thing, the last thing. I mean, one of the things that I do when I'm starting to feel like I hate people and people are stupid because I'm reading too much Facebook. And, I'm an objectivist, so a lot of my friends are objectivists. A lot of the people, one of the joys of Facebook for me is reading all the smart analysis and the thought-provoking articles that my objectivist friends share on Facebook. I would really miss that if I didn't have that, because I don't have any opinions of my own. I get them all from these friends. Just kidding. But there are a lot of... Yeah. And you're one of them, Doug, just so you know.
Well,
theratcap.com.
I do my part.
Yeah.
And trying to manipulate the public.
Trying to... create the narrative.
all the dim-witted pawns on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some of these issues that objectivists argue about, I would say there are two main issues right now that objectivists argue about. One is Trump, and the other is immigration. And that's no surprise. Immigration is kind of the hot button for the entire country right now. So also it is among objectivists. And while there are people who have thoughtful debate, objectivists who get into thoughtful debate about it, there are a lot of people that I just feel like they're trotting out the same parroted arguments. And I know they mean well and everything, but anyway, I just get kind of sick of the lack of clarity. And so lately I've decided I'm going to go read more Ayn Rand directly, because whenever I'm feeling like my thinking, or I'm getting frustrated with bad thinking, and this not just within objectivism, but when you read too much Salon or something, I go read Ayn Rand because it's like being dipped in cool water. Her mind is so clear. And not only is she principled, but she's so reality oriented. And her method is so good for looking out at the world and thinking about it and talking about it. And she's great with analogies. I mean, she's a writer, for God's sake. She's a fiction writer. So the other day, I happened across an essay that I haven't read probably in over 20 years in her collection of essays, Philosophy Who Needs It, called The Fairness Doctrine. And I encourage all of you objectivists out there or non-objectivists to read it, because it's not just an interesting, basically it's extremely relevant, this essay right now. Like, it is so relevant. It's about applying a fairness doctrine, such as was applied in broadcasting, to the university system. This is what she's pushing in this article. And that may shock some people, because we're talking private universities. And a fairness doctrine is the government controlling ideas, right? And most objectivist minds would explode if you say the government has anything to say about ideas. So this is a really good essay right now for objectivists to read. This thing was written in 1972. And she's saying, oh my God, the universities are these cesspools and they're being taken over by the left, and they're getting rid of all the non-left thinkers. They're getting rid of all the curriculum that might go against their postmodernist philosophy. So they're throwing out literature, they're throwing out history, they're rewriting history, they're throwing out all the professors. And you think it's bad. Like in 72, she thought it was bad.
God.
And so she's noticing this, and she's saying, look, fairness doctrine is applied. Maybe you have to force these schools to hire teachers of different, you have to have ideological diversity, and you have to force it on them as your right. So Ayn Rand, who's a free marketer, she's a free market capitalist, is saying, let's get the government to force the universities, including the private ones, to balance the ideology within the universities.
And the context, by the way, was the fairness doctrine. I'm sure a lot of people know this already, but there was a movement, and there still is. And this actually was law until some time ago, but they were forcing broadcasters to, quote unquote, represent both sides.
Both sides of a story, right.
And of course, what that meant in practice was we want to censor anyone on the right. But the idea was, the government owns the airwaves, and the government really, the FCC, through the FCC and through the regulation of bandwidth and the television networks and radio networks, these are really essentially government utilities. And so the government has a right to go in and force both sides to be heard. And so, that was called the fairness doctrine.
Thank you for that context. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, if you think that, with respect to immigration, we're getting a lot of sort of principled argument, but people are not looking at the context of what's going on and where we are in history here. And there are a lot of objective, and I don't even want to get in, I have yet to state a public opinion about immigration policy. I think our immigration policy is screwed up, up one side and down the other. So my friend who's a Canadian who gets married and has so much trouble and paperwork and bureaucracy just freaking moving here, that's ridiculous. But, yet I'm now in Minneapolis where there's 100,000 Somali refugees who are basically taking over the culture here. And I don't really like that. I don't like either one of those things. It just doesn't, the reality on the ground doesn't make sense. But regardless of what you think about those two things, maybe you think Canadians should be kept out and the Somalis should be brought in because, man, those Canadians, right?
Yeah.
So,
people.
I mean, they eat French fries with gravy. Poutine. Have you ever had that?
That's the only good thing about them.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And they end their sentences on the upswing, which really annoys me. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
We do not need more of that here in the United States. America first, damn it.
The way we emphasize our syllables is just fine.
Would you please make a statement instead of make it a question, Canadians? All right.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway. So, whatever you think about those two things, I believe in a border. Like, I believe in border security. I believe that we have a country with sovereignty. I believe that we get to say who comes in and who doesn't come in. If that is limited to, like some people think, diseases and terrorism, we still have a freaking border that we get to enforce where we say at the border, do you have a disease and are you a terrorist? And so we're getting all these people online, these objectivists, and it kills me saying, oh, we can't enforce the border. That's just wrong to like deport people. And they trot out some story of some sob story where we only get like half the facts because it's a Salon article or a New York Times piece. I don't know what's really going on with this. I don't know why this guy who lived here 40 years didn't bother to get his citizenship. He married an American. I don't know why. I don't care. I don't care. Because I can give you a story of a gang member who shot a woman who was innocent or, whatever. Like, I can come out with the exact opposite. I can say 75% of immigrant households are on wealth of Latino, I think it's South American, Central American household, immigrant households are on some form of welfare. 75%. So, people can throw out all these stories and stuff. The point is, we have a right to our border. So then if we can just agree on that, then we talk policy and decide how we decide who comes in and who doesn't? But we can't even get to this basic fact. And I don't know why it's so hard. And I've had people say, well, when the policy is good, then we can enforce the border. Otherwise, it's immoral. And we've had some arguments about rule of law and stuff, and I guess it's more complicated than I think it is. It's more like gravy on French fries than salt on French fries. But I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm kind of just ranting now.
Yeah, well,
the
let
point
me interject.
that I was going to make is this essay. And I don't know how you can maybe integrate this for me, Doug, because we were having this conversation the other day. I just want to read this paragraph to you of why she thought the fairness doctrine applied to universities was important. So this is just a paragraph. The main function of the fairness doctrine would be a switch of the burden of fear from the victim to the entrenched gang, and a switch of moral right from the entrenched gang to the victim. A dissenter, I need my freaking glasses. A dissenter would not have to be in the position of a martyr facing the power of a vast establishment with all the interlockings of unknowable cliques, with the mysterious lines of secret pull leading to omnipotent governmental authorities. He would have the protection of a recognized right. On the other hand, the establishment's hatchet men would have to be cautious, knowing that there is a limitation, at least in principle, on the irresponsible power granted by the use of public funds with no strings attached. So she's saying, like, this is like a almost psychological morale issue. And the victims, who's us, by the way, we're the victims. The non-left are the victims of this steamrolling cultural Marxist postmodernist crap, right? They're taking over and they're trying to take our free speech. No Christian is trying to do that. It is the left, okay? Objectivists need to stop. I get called a conservative because I don't care what the Christians are doing. The left is after us, and they're after all of our freedoms, and they're taking them in the universities. They've taken them. So, oh my gosh, we're at my mom's house. She has a landline. Will you grab that and hang it up?
Yeah.
Just turn it off or something. Gosh, I turned off my cell phone, but I didn't think I had to turn off the landline.
How do I turn this off?
Who has a landline? Only grandmas.
Wow, that's what a landline sounds like?
Oh, now the voicemail is go. Now we're going to hear who's leaving a message. See if you can turn that off.
So great.
This is funny.
That's really old school. You can even hear the voice message playing. It's awesome.
God. I wonder if she pays for long distance on that thing.
Can she star 69? To find out who called her. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I remember the party lines.
Party lines. That's right.
You could, like, conference everybody in.
I remember that.
But
I
Sonny,
remember the long curly cords.
I have one of those. But
at least this is cordless. Okay, and then she says here, I have said that the fairness doctrine is a product of the mixed economy. The whole precarious structure of a mixed economy in its transition from freedom to totalitarian statism rests on the power of pressure groups. But pressure group warfare is a game that two or more ideological sides can play as well as one. The disadvantage of the statists is the fact that up until the last minute, and even beyond it, they have to play under cover of the slogans of individual rights and freedom. The advocates of freedom can beat them at their own game by taking them at their word, but playing it straight. The time is right for it. The establishment is not very popular at present, neither politically nor intellectually, neither with the country at large, nor with many of its own members. A movement of the serious students and of the better teachers, defending the rights of intellectual minorities, and defending a fairness doctrine for education would have a good chance to grow and succeed. She's saying that in 1972. Are we not right there?
Oh, my God. Sounds like she wrote that
yesterday.
Of course.
I mean, wow.
Well, and, just to interject a little bit, I mean, what you're getting at here is not only the plan that she has, which just so happens to be a great plan right now,
right?
But it's her method of thinking. And by the way, just to promote my own blog for a second, I just wrote an article on immigration.
By the way,
and it's about why objectivists disagree on immigration. And I actually make this point which speaks a little bit to methodology and what you're getting at here, which is rather than starting with the concept of individual rights out of context and then deducing something from it, which is what a lot of objectivists do, unfortunately. She's thinking in context. She's saying, what's going on right now in reality? Well, you've got, at that time, and especially now, you've got public funds being used to fund and subsidize education in this country. And if they're going to have a fairness doctrine, for broadcasting, how about having a fairness doctrine for education? And let's throw it back at them. And as a political and practical maneuver, this is a great way and a brilliant way to fight against people who are trying to crush you. She doesn't say, well, we can't do that because that's against individual rights.
Because rights.
No, she's saying that the whole point, if you want individual rights, what good are individual rights if we live in a totalitarian dictatorship?
Well, and the point is we won't have them if we live. I mean, we won't have them. They're taking them away one by one.
So, as a perfectly practical way to play the game the way they're playing it, but defeat them and, illustrate exactly what. So she's illustrating exactly.
Here she says the purpose. The purpose of this is to preserve, to keep alive in men's minds, the principle of intellectual freedom until the time when it can be implemented fully once more. And this whole essay is full of of course it won't be perfect. Of course the teachers that the left hires that are on the right are not going to be perfect. But you have to keep the idea alive that there is intellectual diversity. And I mean, she's advocating for using the government to force ideological diversity onto the universities. I just want to put that out there for objectivists. I think you should go read this. I think this is good for discussion, not just because I think, wow, why aren't we launching this movement as objectivists? This is our movement. It's so focused, it could actually be accomplished. And the time is ripe. People on the left are leaving the left. Anyone decent on the left is saying, whoa, these people, I'm not for this violence. I'm for free speech. I mean, you see a lot of really good people speaking out against what's going on the left. I mean, people who are traditionally on the left, or who are Democrats, I guess I should say. So everybody's looking for a solution here. I think a lot of people do believe in ideological diversity in this country. And you could actually accomplish this as a political goal.
Well, just to get back to, like, last week, I think you talked about incivility, and the question was, well, then what do you do? We're not advocating, you can't go around and start shooting people and fighting people. So what's a way to essentially be, to fight against these people and not be polite? To that David French article. This isn't a great example.
It's a great example. Thanks, Doug. Yes.
This is a great example of how to fight back against these people, and on their own terms. Okay, well, let's have our own pressure group and let's fight for intellectual diversity and using their rules. Remember when they said, well, we need we love diversity. Well, okay, here we go. Here's some diversity. And you like a fairness doctrine and you want strings attached to, government funding. Well, here's some strings attached. If you want government funding and the government's going to control education.
We need a fairness doctrine in the arts. Why are the arts dominated by them?
NPR, PBS, the grants, the national education.
Just the freaking paintings on the wall that they are funding. We need to fund some representational art here. Some romantic realism. I mean, we need to be pushing for this type of thing. It's using their state, they're using our benevolence against us and freedoms against us. And
our apathy. Because we're the ones who are sitting there. We don't want, we leave all this government stuff to them. Where we say, well, we don't. It's so unseemly and disgusting.
It's uncivilized.
To use government in this way. So who controls it? They do.
They do.
They control the funding. They control the universities. They control everything. Yeah. So we got to get into these areas and say no more. Right. You want the money? Here's the deal.
Right. Yeah, and I think that it's a good time now. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And we've actually wrapped up an hour with that. So thanks for joining us. What else do Ashley and I don't have anything else?
No.
Doug?
No. I don't have anything else. Do you guys have any girl talk you want to get into for a minute since you're together? And
our kids are playing
this
in
is
the
a
park
first.
Right now.
I know. Without us.
It's weird.
It's great.
Wait, your kids are at a park? They're just unsupervised?
Yeah, we just let them out.
Yeah, they ran there. They ran across
we
the
opened
street.
the door.
Yeah.
Actually, this is funny. My mom drives a Prius. Good God.
Nice.
Good God. Anyone who buys a Prius who lives in Minnesota, right? You already know. I'm sorry, Mom.
There's so much sun.
This car is dangerous on these roads. I mean, it's this just like you live in Minnesota where things are icy and snowy. I've driven her car around here a little bit, and it's a little scary. She loves it. She loves it. But anyway, I don't know how Ashley did it, but she got 3 car seats in that freaking little car, right? Or is Glenn not
No, he's
okay.
in a car seat. Yeah.
So 3 car seats in a Prius at the park.
There's 3 seatbelts in the back. They can all fit. It was fine.
Is Glenn on the floor?
No, I mean, you have to
just strap him on the floor,
buckle him in, and then push him back in.
Oh my God!
Do you guys remember? Were you guys? I don't know. When I was a kid, I remember our parents would just throw us in the back of a station wagon.
Oh,
and we would just roll around back there and look out the window and climb around.
My dad had a 2-seater sports car when I was really young. I used to sit in the back window well. Like on a long drive to my grandparents' house 3 hours away up near Brainerd.
Yeah.
I was like in the freaking, what do you even call that? The back dash?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Gosh, that's hilarious.
I would lay there, and then my brother and I would switch off. Like, we'd take a break in St. Cloud, go to the Dairy Queen, and then it would be my turn. Oh, my God.
And they would chain smoke with the windows.
Oh, by the way, I was just going to say that. By the way, he would smoke with the windows up. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was really a healthy environment. And now I had my kids, long story short, I had to put my 2 kids in the front seat one time for just a short little trip down the road. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is, just flouting the law locally, right? Someone pulled up and actually snapped a picture of it.
Oh my God, busybodies.
Oh my God, look at this guy. He's got his kids in the front seat. That's how crazy it is. And I remember just being in a giant station wagon, just laying back there in a Pinto.
Yeah.
You remember the Ford Pintos that blew up if someone drove into the back of it?
Yeah, you were like sitting on top of a bomb.
Our family drove to Florida.
Not only were you in the back hatchback, but you were with no seatbelt. You were on top of a bomb.
It's a bomb. It's a powder keg.
Or the back of pickups, where you could fly out like at any moment just from somebody turning too hard.
That's still legal in Arizona.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's move there.
We can do it.
When they start making me inject my child with drugs, that's what I'm worried about, because these vaccines, like California has this mandatory vaccine thing where you can't go to school if you haven't had the full CDC recommended complement of vaccines. And whatever you think about vaccines, government mandated drugs is never a good idea, because there are always medical exceptions. And they said, oh yeah, well, there will be medical we'll let doctors decide and they can fill out this form. Well, it wasn't a month after the law was passed that they started suing the doctors that were providing medical exemptions.
Oh my God.
And auditing them and stuff like that, and putting a lot of pressure on them not to do it. So they don't actually mean it. They got the law passed, and now they don't want you to have any exceptions. They don't care if your kid had a reaction to the last one or whatever, which is like a sign that they really can't handle these things. So,
is this even in private schools they do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Private schools too.
As if there's a difference.
So yeah, I'm looking for, my retirement home, Arizona, maybe. Yeah. Pickup truck. Okay. That sounds good. All right. Well, thanks for everybody for joining us at the House of Sunny podcast this week. It was a little freewheeling and that was fun. Not a lot of news, more just chit chat. If you want to support the show, we really appreciate it. We are fully fan funded over at patreon.com/House of Sunny, and we need it because all of my videos have been demonetized. We have no sponsors. No, but we're doing well. We are gaining ground every week. We're gaining listeners every week. We're happy about that. Welcome. And that's it. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded, and because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.